you see, because they have some disabilities, they are not able to come into our world easily. So we need to go into their world, right? So I think that's the first part where we have to go in there, understand and see things from their perspective. And connect, yeah.
This podcast shares personal stories and professional insights, but it's not a substitute for medical advice or therapy. If you're looking for support, do speak to someone qualified and trained in child development or special needs care. You'll find the full disclaimer on the screen and in the show note.
Welcome to a new episode of Adapting Together, which is a podcast to empower, support, and inspire parents and caregivers who have children who is on the autism spectrum. In this episode, we are going to talk about something very real life, because what we do have invited a guest who is a parent, a father, who have children who are on the spectrum. And before we begin that, let's also express my gratitude for all our listeners who have tuned in and downloaded and listened and also responded and interacted with us for the past episode that we have published. My name is Kevin. I'm a co-host for the podcast, and together with me, I have my partner co-host, Carmen and Sinyi, who are also the co-hosts of the podcast. So of course, we do this with the purpose of raising awareness around autism in Malaysia. And many a times when we think about children who are on the autism spectrum, the idea is that what kind of, how does this event or diagnosis transform or change the life of the parents and caregiver? And I think to share with us more about this, the better candidate or person should be one who have lived through and gone through the experience himself or herself. And for that, we are grateful to have our guest today, who is Andrew. Andrew, who I'll leave it to Andrew to introduce more about himself, but Andrew is a busy man for sure.
Yes, I have
Carmen,
a
do you have
chance
anything
to,
to add on?
I actually have a chance to work with this family. I think in year maybe 2010, like many years ago. It's one of the very pioneer family that I work with, you know, and they have a big team, because in the family they actually have two children that's on the spectrum. I am really blessed to be journey with them, and today would like to take the opportunity to interview Andrew, to maybe share a little bit more about your family, your yourself.
Okay. So with a little bit of background, my name is of course Andrew, and me and my wife, we have 4 children. All right, my eldest Celeste, she's now 24, and then we have number 2, number 3, who are boys, Keen and Ethan. They are on the spectrum. Keen is now 22 and Ethan is 20, and then the youngest is Caden. He's now 18. So 4 children. And you know, when we had our first child, Celeste, everything was normal. That was great, and we were looking forward to building our family. When we had number 2, that time we were based in Singapore. And then for Keen, he was at first, I think the first 2 years like a normal baby. Then when we put him through childcare, that was when the teachers were the ones who first informed, saying that he was not typical, with not the same as the other children. Myself, because I was working with Procter & Gamble, and we had done some autism awareness programs with NAZOM before. So so because of that, I recognized the signs, and then not too sure. So I knew a little bit about autism, because I think at the time the awareness overall in Malaysia was still very low.
Very low.
Yeah, very low.
Well, back then it's like 20 years ago almost.
Yes. So I think even though that was the case, right, before any professional diagnosis, we could see that was the thing, and then secretly, as parents, we also hope that, there is some cure and they will grow out of it or something like that. But I think later on we come to realization that was not going to be the case. But then at the same time, searching hard and looking for resources everywhere on how to help them grow, to get them normalized, to adapt into the society. I think that's important, and help them achieve what they are capable of, to reach their full potential. I think that I think is adjustment of expectations for ourselves, because I think for most parents, the feeling would be, how do I get my child normal? But this is a case where if we are assuming all of us are running a race of 100 meters, and this is a case where the autistic children, they are having problems in one leg and they cannot run as fast. And we say, okay, you need to run this 100 meters at this speed. There's no way they could do that. So forever they will have this disability to be able to run at the same time. So the expectations that we have cannot be at the same speed, right? So we had to go through a lot of that. And of course, we met you at a point. We were looking for home therapies. We were selling for physio, speech therapy, sensory, and all this. So everything that we could, we throw at that and to see what works and does it help or not. Even with ABA. But I think after a while, then we can see, okay, we kind of I think the early part that worked for us was ABA first to get some structure, but then subsequently when we talk about what about school, academics, and all that. Then we have to adjust our expectations. I think that's a part where we did some homeschooling. So we had some of the home therapy, the teachers come in. We were very grateful for that, where they help them learn at their own pace, right? Yeah. So I think that is a part where it helped them, so they are able to reach their potential. So the kids, they were very good in, for example, Keen is very good in English. He knows all the words. Even I think very young, he could spell quilt and all this when he was like 2 years old. And mathematics, they could do, the multiplications and all that. So it's pretty much quite a good achievement already. But beyond that, I think that's the part where we have to adjust our expectations, because and I think every child is different. So there's a little bit of that journey, but a lot of trials and tribulations during this time.
We would like to hear a little bit more, in that. So but before that, maybe we can also maybe we can talk about, say, Keen, or maybe you can share a bit about Ethan, how they actually was diagnosed, and then because we also need to share with our audience to let them know about the diagnosis part, because that's an important initial step as a parents,
Maybe what are some signs or red flags that
correct.
alerted you to go and seek for further diagnosis?
Okay, I think for Keen, the older boy, the first few signs are his tendency to want to spin objects and also to place objects in a row, and a little bit of avoidance of eye contact, a little bit, not too much, and also he does not like loud sounds. So if you go into shopping mall, he will cry. He will get very upset when there's a lot of sound. Even today, as a young adult, sometimes there's some sound, he will cover his ears. So so it is, I think, one of those sensory, yes.
He feel a bit overwhelmed.
That's right. So those, I think, are some of the signs. For Ethan, a bit different, because we thought that maybe he wasn't on the autistic spectrum, but more hyperactive, if you recall. So it was more hyperactive, and then maybe slower in learning, right? So I think that was a different type of diagnosis. But to my mind at the time, putting in a diagnosis doesn't do anything. You see, we have to actually see what they're capable of in terms of their speech and in terms of their logical thinking in terms
you
of
need to know their strengths and weaknesses in order to moving forward.
Exactly. So then, regardless of whether they are autistic or not, even for a regular child, that's what we do, right? It's just that for regular children, they go to a normal school. For us, we have to find the help and support for them to develop in those areas. Whether it's an academic side or a social side.
So actually, I have a question. It's like, what makes you so strong and so determined? What is next? Want to move on to therapy and all this. Because some parents actually take some time to process and maybe accept, especially at that time, autistic is totally a new term for the society at that moment. Now it's actually a little bit more common compared with back then. So what makes you and Jean, so...
Okay. Well, for me, again, because of the work that in Procter & Gamble, we went to Nazom, we saw the kids. So the exposure was there for me. Maybe not so much for Jean, and then I had to explain to her later on. I think the initial hurdle is to, the 5 stages of grief. Do you know? Have you heard about that, right? So I think
maybe
the first
you share
part...
a little bit more with us. That will be very helpful for our audience.
I think the first one is, of course, denial, right? This can't be happening to us. Why is it happening to us? So there's this initial part that you need to overcome. Then you may get angry. Then you will feel self-pity. I can't remember all 5, but basically after we've gone through all the stages, and then we say, okay, then now it's time to think what's the next step, right? So this is the reality. We have to face it. Then how do we move forward now? So to your point.
How long does it take?
Well, for me, it was very fast, but I think that that is because that's my own personality. So I think in life...
Just move on next.
So people will say not so emotional, maybe.
Okay. How about Jean?
Jean, I think she took it harder. Then, maybe we should change school. And maybe, so is that the acceptance part did not come easily. So it took some time and all that. So, but after we realized that, then, and because we were not very sure what to do also, and we also not sure where he is on the spectrum. So it's about, trying everything. Whether it was ABA, then some were talking about diets, some were talking about medication, some were, so we didn't go the medication route, but then we did try all the different therapies.
Andrew, as you mentioned just now, right, you had the prior exposure and awareness that perhaps supported you to come to terms with the diagnosis or the situation better. But at the same time, Jean did not have what you experienced before. So that means you were the key person to help her to see and perhaps to process and understand better. Did that process, I suppose it didn't come easy. Is there anything that, looking back, you felt you were grateful that I did this to help my wife to see through or transition through?
So that's the challenge, right? Because I think for us as a couple and 2 individual adults, we have different ways of thinking on how to help the boys, right? Maybe one of the viewpoint from herself was, we think we can get the boys to be normal. So, just give them more exercises, just give them more right? I had a different thinking. I said, okay, it's just like the illustration I mentioned about the running the 100 meters. It's futile to push them to run 100 meters in 10 seconds or 11 seconds when they are running with one leg. They're lacking something, right? So it's very difficult. So we have to adjust our expectations. So, and I think to answer your question, Kevin, it's not a short process. Even today, for the 2 boys, what's next for them, right? We don't have all the answers, and it's almost sometimes we have some things that we are clear on, but some things that we still need to figure out for both of them. So it's not really clear all the time.
it's not the end point. It's every day there comes a new question. Just
Yeah.
continue to look for the answer as we explore further.
Correct. Yeah, but maybe later on I can share. To my viewpoint as a parent, what are the things that I'm sure of. That one maybe I could share. Later.
Sure.
Yeah.
Since we are talking a little bit about husband and wife, maybe we can look into a bit more about like how, as a husband and wife, when you journey this together, what makes you all maintain this strong relationship? Because I can still following you all in the Facebook, and I can see you all travel together always as a family. Yeah. So with so many different challenges and things happening, what actually something that keep you all going?
Going strong.
Yeah, well, of course, I think firstly, definitely we, as a family unit, we try to have family trips together. I think that is very important. And then, like all married couples, we will definitely have disagreements.
Yeah.
We need to talk through, and there's some compromise doing, and then sometimes it's just, okay, let's try first. You have an opinion, I have a different opinion, we can try this one first. You see that whether that works or not. So I think there's a lot of adjustments along the way that we had to do. But after too many years and trials, then we know which parts are working, and then we'll continue to do that. Like for example, Ethan loves swimming, so and then we think that he enjoys it. He didn't start off good, but then later on with a lot of practice, now he's in competitions and all that. So similarly for drums. So it's about finding what works for them individually, and then after that subsequently just helping them develop those talents.
Yeah. Jean is the one that I think she is more emotional, What is something that you see in her? Because I know that she's not here today with us, but you can share on her behalf maybe what is something that she do to take care of herself, her self-care, regulation, or
Regular.
shopping is shopping one of the or what is something I would like to because I know that she's the main caregiver.
Yes. I think so I think the division of duties between both of us, right? As we have 4 kids, number one, and 2 of them are special, then we know that she cannot be working and at the same time. Because if we entrust or outsource all the care to outsiders, then I think there will be definitely something lacking. So that's the first decision we had to make. So she was going to be a full-time homemaker and caregiver to the children. Then for me, then I just focus on bringing in the food on the table, right?
Yeah.
And then making sure that we are comfortable. I think that's important. Now, at the same time, of course, being a caregiver is not one way you can apply for annual leave or sick leave.
Yes.
So it's a job that's continuously. So then I have to play my part, right? So at sometimes that she wants a break, then we have to make sure she continues to have a circle of friends and go out. Like for example, today she can't be with us because she's going out with some of her friends. So I think there must be allowance or space for her to be able to do more of that. I think in the initial years, of course, it's more difficult because the kids were younger. But luckily, in fact, we had even at one point 2 maids to take care of the kids when they were younger. So those were some of the sacrifices that needed to be done early on. But the way we saw it is that, okay, for these 2, they will not be going to university and all that. So we are kind of like spending that education fund upfront on all these other type of investments, whether it's the maid and the therapies that we're putting in. So to still be able to have some, independence for her to do some of the things that she likes, at the side.
So we heard that there are a lot of challenges and sacrifices need to be made, especially in big family like this. So I know every family faces unique challenges. So what are some of the toughest moments for you during this period?
Oh, there's so many tough moments, right? Okay, I could share one where it was very, not just tough, it was quite scary because during the COVID period, and we were taking the kids to walk across to the Hatamas Park and then go and do some walking around. And on one of these occasions, when crossing the road, Keen was stimming. So he was closing his eyes and ears before crossing the road. And when he stopped and then he opened and he wanted to cross, he was hit by a car. So it was green light, so the car was going very fast. Then I was terrified because I was just opposite and I thought he had followed me. And that was, I think, probably the most traumatic incident. I was afraid that, I would have lost him at the time. But luckily, I won't say minor. I think he lost some of his tooth. He broke a collarbone. He's got injuries to his knee and ribs and all that. But through hospitalization and later on, then he managed to recover. And luckily, there was no permanent damage. But we had to, put in titanium rod and his collarbone. We had to get in new teeth for him, implants, which was difficult because for him, he doesn't understand what's going on. And then they have to, and it's not one procedure. And normally these type of procedures are done local. That means the patient is awake, but we had to put him under the full anesthesia. So, that also carries some risks. So, but those was probably, I think, rated as the top challenge or yes.
Even that happened to any other people, that's difficult.
Yes.
That must be very tough for you. Cannot imagine how it felt like at that moment.
I was super frightened and all that. Even though I'm traditionally quite a calm person. So first thing is, of course, to see if there's anything on the spot, make sure there's any bleeding out and all that. Then we call for help, managed to stop the traffic. I made a call to Jean to inform her. And then we got an ambulance in and then decided what we need to do at the hospital. Very, very traumatic, I tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other challenges that you face?
Well, I think for us, we want to be able to be like a normal family, to go out to restaurants, to go into the shopping malls. And then for both of them, they would have their impulses sometimes, like for example, a simple thing, and I think a lot of parents may experience this, like if you go to McDonald's and they love fries, and as they walk past other people's table, they will just take other people's food. Things like that. So of course, after many training and all that, and many embarrassing apologies that has to be made to the other table to explain, I think at least now they don't do that anymore, but those were the difficulty. Yet we still will bring them out, right? Otherwise, they will not.
You all are very consistent bringing them out,
Yes.
not leaving anyone behind.
Yes, we will not, leave because this child is special and may cause a commotion. We just keep them at home. We don't do that, right? So I think child is special and may cause a commotion. We just keep them at home. We don't do that, right? So I think to help them integrate, and in a way also it helps educate the society. So they get to see, and hopefully that helps them to understand. Most of the time we find that the initial reaction from the other people is anger, because why are you doing that? Because they don't know the situation. The challenge with autistic kids is that they look 100% normal.
And they are so handsome also.
Because they look normal, then the immediate. Yes. So that is the challenge.
Okay. How about maybe we can talk a little bit about we talk about some challenges, but some very happy moments.
Happy moments.
I think a lot more from there.
Oh yes, definitely. For me personally, right, it was the breakthroughs that we had was when we first see that Keen in particular, because he's further down the spectrum, that he realizes that we are trying to understand his world and trying to understand him. I think that's the first part. Then the relationship started growing from there. Because I think, you see, because they have some disabilities, they are not able to come into our world easily. So we need to go into their world, right? So I think that's the first part where we have to go in there, understand and see things from their perspective. And connect, yes. Because that's the first part. Then after that, once we are able to show them that we understand, and then he realizes we understand, and that's the first part where I think we can see that he's very happy.
Yeah, the
and then,
joy.
Yes. And after that, he will try to speak. For him, he's having difficulty to talk. But then when we have mobile phones and iPads and all that, so he started typing. So small words and all that, or even trying to put in short words to communicate. And that's the second part, right? The second breakthrough, because now he's able to communicate what he wants quite clearly. And we give him choice. Okay, do you want to eat noodles today or rice? And one of the happy moments for him is when we go out to the coffee shop, for example. Then he can choose what he wants, right? So he's able to make choice, because for the kids, right, everything else is structured, everything else is told to them what they can do, what to do and what they cannot do. And this is one moment where they are able to express what they want, and do what they want without any barrier. So the simple thing like choosing the food that you like in a coffee shop, it makes him very happy. So I think there's small things, but it's a big thing for them, and it's also happy for us as well. So that's for Keen. Then for Ethan, he has several passions, and he some kids, they're, as they say, hangat tai ayam, right? So after a while, then they are not interested. But he is being consistent. So whatever he was in, he really goes in and delve in it, immerse himself fully, right? So whether it's learning drums, and he could play quite well, he swims and he's improved a lot of his swimming. He loves building Lego. If you go upstairs, you can see his Lego collection where there's a lot of Lego. So in that sense, I think every child is different, and our job here is to help them find what's their potential. That once we understand them and they are able to communicate what they like, and we just encourage that part. I think this is the part where we're quite proud. And I think we were talking about it earlier. Now he's got his L license and he's doing a driving class. So we are so happy about that.
I am so happy when Jin sent me the video, and I can witness how he actually doing the lesson and pass his undang. I'm so proud of him, seriously. It's a great achievement, for I think, like you say, it's not many special needs child can come to this.
So I think the challenge is every child will be different. We just have to find what they're good at, and then we just encourage them, knowing that there are some things that they will never be able to do, and that is fine. So we just as parents have to adjust our expectations.
Correct. Maybe we can look into how about the other two siblings, right? That has been also growing up together with them, and I also saw them when they were very young, until today. How
do you
as
explain
a parent,
also, right? How do you explain to them, like your sibling, they know different, or how do they make them understand? Their sibling also have different needs.
So for Celeste, who's the eldest, right? I think in a way she's like big sister, and in a way there is this, want to take care of their younger brothers. I think that's a natural thing, and we did not really have to do a lot of explanation, because she could see for herself, and she sees what we go through. And we are quite thankful that she is also equally supportive. She does mix around with both of them, and in their own way, right? If you have autistic, even the two autistic boys, they have their own special communication. They don't talk, but they have their own communication.
Can share a little bit how they communicate. Like just I observed one of them disturb another person.
And then he'll complain, by saying, let's say the Ethan is disturbing Keen, and Keen will just Ethan, and then, but that was not directed to Ethan, that was directed to the parents to say, hey, Ethan's disturbing me, Yeah, so sometimes there's a bit of that, and then, but sometimes they share food, and kids, sometimes they don't, and they will have their secret communication, like I want, then he will take some of the food and share. So it's non-verbal, it's more gesture, sometimes they do, and then, But going back to Celeste, I think she spends time with them and talk to them a little bit. In fact, sometimes she helps to babysit when me and my wife, we go on our dates. We're going back to relationship, right? So sometimes she helps to babysit, in that sense. So we think that as a family structure, it will be different for her as well. But at the same time, we do not want to make it a burden for her. It's not her role to take care of the brothers. It's the parents' role. But nonetheless, eventually there will be a time when we are not around. She will need to look at the site, and hopefully by the time we have some kind of structure, and at least on the financial side, that she does not have to worry about, that will be, that's how I see it, things going forward.
Provide the security.
Yeah. So for us as the parents, if we want to be around for as long as possible, and then after that, when we're not around, the siblings don't have to worry for financial side for the two brothers, but we have to look in once in a while, something like that.
So how the sibling actually they also need to go through the acceptance per se, right?
Yes and no. I think maybe for younger one, Caden, right? So sometimes he may have friends come over for his birthday party and all that, so they may not understand. So in that part, we have to prepare Caden to help to explain to his friends. I think that is one area where he has to make some adjustments, because while he's been living with it, but there may be some embarrassment because the brothers are non-typical. So this is some adjustments. But I think right now, pretty normalized already. So they're used to it.
Okay.
Andrew, thank you for sharing so much about your journey together with Jean, Ethan, and also Keen. So it's very good to hear that, the progress that your children have made. But at the same time, I would guess that at the beginning, like 20 years ago, right, when you first started to support them through various type of therapies, you might not have envisioned that to whatever you have today, you would get to hear. And it takes a long time, 2 decades. And maybe there's a series of small wins along the way. So during the journey, maybe there's also some setbacks and differential in expectation and what you really see as a progress. If there is, right, how do you help yourself to continue and keep your hope and relentlessly pursue and continue what you have been doing?
Well, I think the realization is the first part. Initially is he cannot go to a normal school. He will not get his if he doesn't get his SRP or SPM, then how's he going to get a job? So I think those were all the concerns that every parent with autistic children will have. So that's the first thing I think, to rationalize for ourselves first and reset the expectations, as I mentioned. I think for me right now, what's most important is that they're happy and healthy. So it's just that, every day we just live in a happy manner. We get to do the things. We see them smiling and not crying. And that is already a big thing, For me as well, that's a stress relief to be around kids, whether they're small or even right now. When sometimes you come back from work and then you have the small kids come and greet you, there's a feeling of happiness inside of you. And even though my boys now are adult looking, but they still kids,
Like a kid.
yeah, inside, and then whenever they are happy, I still get the same feeling, right? So in terms of adjustment of expectations, but I don't expect them to have to go out and work. In fact, my fear is they may get bullied outside. You know, there's one other case where another parent was sharing that to go out, some of their occasions, the boy went to buy chap fan, you know, mixed rice, and he was charged $30 for it, you know. So yeah, they're taken advantage of and all that. So that's my fear, and because for me, I try very hard to be able to provide for them financially, so they don't have to work. Then the life goals change differently already, where, you know, then just go out and do activities. They like bowling, they enjoy bowling. Keen now goes to the SAMH in Brickfields, where he goes in, they have some life skills, they do some gardening, and then they have some activities. And for us, it's more about filling up the time with activities that they enjoy, whether it's bowling or swimming. Yeah. Then it's not about trying to get them ready for work, which is really pushing it. For some of the kids, they are not able to. We see that Ethan may be able to do a little bit of that, right? And then we'll see where he can go. Now that he may be able to get his driving license already. But for Keen, probably not. He's further down the spectrum, has communication, non-verbal in that sense. So we have to adjust, yeah. So I don't know whether that answers the question, but for me, there was a lot of pressure to be able to provide for them financially. Yeah, we had to make a lot of sacrifice. At some point, I had to work in Singapore, and I was traveling up and down every week. And yes, you know, right? Yeah. It's hard because you're not with the kids when they're young, right? And that's when they kind of need you. But those are the sacrifices that we had to make, you know, for the family, because I wasn't born into a rich family, so we have to really work hard to get that financial security. Yeah.
I always remember Andrew is someone that really loves children. With the 4, he still wants Jin to give birth to more. And that also during the time he actually need to spend for 2 kids therapy, you know, all these things. And he just loved the you know, the house to fill with children. And like today, just now you also share with me, like Kin will get ready your shoe for you.
Yes, even to this day, yeah. Sometimes he does that. So I was sharing that today, Kin, he likes to understand what's going on, whether it's a schedule, and whether there's a certain activity that's happening for the day. He will do the preparations. Like, for example, every Friday there's bowling. So in the evening, he will take the bowling balls and bowling shoes, he prepares outside. So then it just go, you know. And to be able to understand what's going on, and he tries to predict and prepare for it. That is the part that, and when he does that and it happens, he is very happy. Yeah. So like when we go out, then he wants to press the lift. You know, press where we're going, right? So it's like to be able to, he knows that we're going there and he wants to predict, and he gets it, and then he becomes happy in a sense. So those are little small things that I think, you know, I'm not sure if other parents may understand, but for me, that's like a big deal, because he's happy, he's able to, in contrast to the early days when he was steaming and people don't understand him, and we were trying to get him to do things he could not do through speech therapy and all that. Then, you know, it was very tough for him, and I think he was very emotionally affected. He was sometimes, I think he was hurting himself and all that, and very sad, and you could see.
Yes, I remember that during one moment, Jin actually called me back and said, can you come and look at Shin case? That time he was going through puberty. Yeah, I think that is the moment where we also have certain knowing that he can read, he can write, you know, he can do his maths, you know. So we also hope that the academic can push a little bit more, but he has come to the level that he just cannot move forward anymore, and then he has a lot of like not happy, you know, just not. So today when I saw him and he was so happy, then I say this is a different Kin than I.
Yeah, so I think, and I hope, you know, even through this podcast, it may help other parents, because we just have to adjust the expectations. If we expect that, we will just be disappointed. It will be too tough on the kids. We have to understand there's a psychological factor for them when they're pushed or forced or doing a lot of exercises where they don't understand and they get it wrong and they're scolded maybe, for example. There is a lot of pressure on them. So I think that is a realization that hopefully that would help with other parents.
I think that's a very important message to bring out, because at the end of the day, right, children or individuals who are on the spectrum, they are still human beings. So as a human being, we will feel defeated. If you feel defeated, disappointed too many times, it will actually also impede your motivation to learn and continue. So it's very important to start small and keep hope. And I think what you shared, Andrew, earlier, I guess if I'm correct, I would say that the secret is to try to focus on what is in front of us and enjoy and savor every moment together with the children, celebrate everything that they achieve. And it can only be possible if you have adjusted your expectation.
Yes.
Otherwise, if your expectation is high, in contrast, there'll always be a gap, and that's where the disappointment as a parents will come about.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, parents not
happy, I think the children will not be happy too. Yeah. So we are coming almost to the end. We would like to know, what is the maybe advice to the parents. I think just now you shared with us is actually adjust our expectation. That is a good one. How about looking at our community, government or community? What is something that you wish that our government or community can do or be more for our children on the spectrum?
I think firstly, the government does have some good initiatives, right? I think they've given some support, whether through like income tax, for example, tax relief. They give some allowances for special needs, OKU in particular, where special needs kids like with autism also get the benefit of. So there's a little bit of that, and of course there were all the while special schools that were or special classes in the government schools. Now the challenge, of course, today is the level of training that are given to the teachers in the schools to be able to understand the autism spectrum much better, and also what kind of treatment and therapies that will help with children. I think that is the part where there's a big skill gap, right? Where the government needs to help to design the programs and also get more teachers trained in this area. Some of them who are doing this, it's not easy, right, for a teacher to want to teach to special needs, because there are a lot of challenges because of behavioral issues and all that. But we see that the teachers who are doing this, they are special type of people that actually care for the kids. Now we just need to equip them with the skill set and knowledge to be able to help the children better, right? Because they already have the heart to want to work with these kids. Yes, I think that is important. So the education piece and training piece is important. Then secondly is there have been some awareness building, and I think we just need to keep at it to build awareness so that the overall society do not feel that why this person is here and then he's in the same restaurant with me and causing a commotion. So I think there is some understanding we need to help society develop when confronted with children like this or adults like this as well, and to see how we can support these families. And I just like to point out, like I'm working with SAMH as a committee member, Society of the Mentally Disabled for Selangor and KL. There are a lot of families that are in the B40, so they don't have time, they don't have the financial means to care for their children, so they can't do the regular therapies and all that, and both parents have to work. So when they send to the institution, it's almost like, and some of them are really adults, it's most maybe even like a babysitting center while they go to work, and that's very pitiful, right? So for societies like that, sometimes awareness building and also donations from the public or government support can help these type of institutions to take care of these families, the less fortunate families. At least they kids will not be marginalized. I think that's another area where both on the support and awareness can help.
Yeah. Some of the audience also would like to know, like when two of the boys also have OKU card
Yes,
at
they
the
do.
moment,
Yes, they
and
do.
what is the reason? What is the reason that you would like to apply and like kind of like label them? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the OKU card helps them get, for example, some of the support from the government, like allowances and all that. And other times it's like a VIP card, so you can cut queues.
Parking in Mid Valley will be easy.
well, the parking does not really apply for these two boys. But for example, sometimes at government agencies where you have to queue up, and then you have to, and then sometimes when we go to the airport, initially when they were younger and they say our kids are special needs, then they have a special yellow tag, if you know. So things like that where when we ask for help, then there are some of these government agencies or companies have awareness, and they also have provision, let you go up in front of the queue, or they have special care or more understanding. I remember a case when we were in Japan, and Keen was getting very overwhelmed, and then the Japanese immigration understand, and we explained to them, then they let us go through quickly. So
nice.
yes, so it's of course sometimes the card, or sometimes it's just recognition of the signs, but yeah, I would encourage all the parents to get it. Do not worry about it being a label or anything like that, but then there are a lot of help that you can get just by getting that card.
Okay. Any last words that you want to or advice that you want to share with our
especially
audience?
to parents who just about to embark on this journey to support their children who's on the spectrum. What would be some tips or wisdom of words or you would like to share with them, or encouragement?
Okay. Well, when I look back, right, I would not. I cannot imagine my life without any of my 4 kids, even my 2 autistic boys. So I think it's a blessing, right? So that's one thing, and especially now when I see them more happy, and it's after us becoming more mature and understanding for ourselves, and then we're able to help them develop. That's the part where I get my own joy at the moment. So I think for other parents, look for that. I think there is joy in having these kids. They do give us something that other things in the world can't. Yeah. So I think that's the first thing. Second is there are now today a lot more associations and therapies and or parents like ourselves and therapists like yourself where help can be given. So don't be afraid to ask, and do not be embarrassed that you have a kid like that. So I think we have to overcome that, and then do not be afraid to ask for help. I think when we ask, there are a lot of people who are willing to come forward and support, whether it's in terms of advice or to direct them to different schools or things like that. So I think that's probably the second thing that helps.
Thank you very much. Very well said. If I may, I would like just add on a bit, right? Is that I think there's nothing to feel embarrassed about, because number one, the children, going back to your analogy of a race, right? Not only they started a race with some part that is maybe handicap or challenge, they maybe perhaps also started a bit later than the other kids.
Yes.
And this is not a choice made by anyone. So they are started that, and we can see from our children, it's already more difficult for them to learn. Yet they were actually very courageous and very determined to learn new skills. So it's actually a kind of spirit that sometimes maybe many people need to have this kind of spirit. So
Yes.
sometimes I feel like I'm very proud of my son also, because of all these things, you cannot be teach one, and you can only observe, and it can actually bring the better thing out from the parents also.
Yes. Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Like we all wanted to continue and continue. Okay. So
But I think we come from a very different perspective
Yes,
because we are
correct.
not yet. I'm not yet a parent, and
So I think throughout my career in these 10 years, we feel like you're teaching a lot of children, but at the same time, I feel these children also teach me a lot of things. And also in this podcast, I think I really learned about from different perspectives in terms of how persistent you know, manage your expectation so much in this. Yes. Thank you for saying yes to this podcast.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Yes.
After working very long with Carmen,
Yes.
we've also got a lot of help from her and the teachers that were trained under her.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, for
thank
your
you.
time and your openness in sharing, putting yourself in a vulnerable position. So again, remember to tune back to our next episode again, right? We have a lot of informative episode lined up for you guys. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.